Okay, there we are. I was like, why can't I see myself? Okay. Hey YouTube, it's been a long time since I've done a live or any video. This is definitely a hard video or live that I'm making or I'm doing. If you watch previous videos, particularly last year, maybe there might have been a couple from earlier this year. I gave lots of updates on my dog Buddy. If you watch my makeup videos, you would see Buddy in those. Buddy, Buddy was a dog that I got in February of 2009. Buddy was born in June 2007. Um, so he is, I don't know, was 16 and a half. But I've had him for almost 15 years. It would have been 15 this February. Last year in January of 2022, Buddy had a very severe case of pancreatitis. He's never had pancreatitis before. So this raised an alarm with the vets. And that's when we found out through an ultrasound that he had a pancreatic tumor, which they said looked cancerous. And pancreatic cancer tumors are very rare in dogs, and benign tumors are even more rare. So we were pretty certain that he had cancer, and we treated it as cancer. We did all the things. We saw a holistic vet, did some ozone therapy, all these things. And honestly, he was doing great. After he got through his bout of pancreatitis, he was doing great. He looked great, everything. Until about June of last year, I let a vet, this is a vet that he's been seeing for a couple years. He's been going to that same clinic for years, like several years. But I let that particular vet at that clinic talk me into giving him a Cytopoint injection, which brought on vestibular disease for him the very next day. And since then, he it wasn't the same. He wasn't the same, but still eating, and had some energy. We moved across country a little bit over a year ago, so like a year, yeah, it was a year ago earlier this month. So like, and Buddy made it. He slept basically the whole time. Didn't eat much on when we were driving cross country though. But once we got him back on his normal food, which is ground meat and Dr. Harvey's Paradigm, which is a dehydrated vegetable that you rehydrate. Um, he was fine, like he was eating fine, everything, like. Well, I think towards the end of the summer, he started having seizures, but not so much that we couldn't handle it on our own. Like I knew what to do. So at this point, I had given up on conventional veterinary medicine, and was had already been doing holistic for everything. Um, we were able to manage his seizures with CBD oil. I just couldn't miss a night. Like, so I had to give it to him between like before 9 o'clock. So between 8 and 9, I had to give it to him. If I missed it, he would have a seizure. So we kept that at bay. And yeah. Um, and then what, you know, what ended up happening is probably about a week, 2 weeks ago now. Um, but he stopped eating. He started refusing his food. I think that was on a Thursday or Friday. Saturday, we went out. My husband and I went out for a bit. We found that he had gotten into the trash because my husband had thrown out barbecue, which Buddy got into. And he had some stomach bloat, and didn't still continued to refuse his own food. He also threw up once before that. Once I think, what did I get him to eat? I got him to eat something. I think he threw up a total of 3 times. And there was very little diarrhea. Which the first time he had a bout with pancreatitis, there was a lot of diarrhea until like there was nothing, like there's no stool, but he didn't have that much diarrhea, like, and he didn't go uh poop very often. He started having more seizures. I got another homeopathic or holistic like seizure supplement. It's called eSure S. I got it off of Chewy and it actually really helped. Not he didn't have a seizure while he was on this. But unfortunately, I wish I had ordered it sooner rather than later. And some people might be thinking, well, why didn't you take your dog back to the vet at this time? Because we knew what they're going to say. And we knew that they couldn't do anything for him. The vet who diagnosed him with pancreatic cancer was already like, oh, he has weeks to months. So that's kind of why, and we didn't trust vets. We still kind of don't at this time, unless they're a holistic vet. So, Buddy's breathing had become very labored, where you can hear him. He's sleeping, but you can hear he's just breathing very abnormally, like he's really struggling, like he was taking that deeper breaths and like breathing out very loudly through his nose. So like something like that, and you could actually hear it, which is not normal. And my husband and I talked about it, and we said that it's time. So we went to an emergency clinic, and they were able to get us in right away, and we had Buddy euthanized. Because we knew that between all his conditions, so he had this pancreatic tumor that, and I also read that I did more research on pancreatic tumors, and there's a specific type of tumor that does cause seizures. And he also had a heart murmur and collapsing trachea and cataracts and arthritis. And I knew that he wasn't going to improve. So we made that hard decision, and we just decided that it was best that he didn't continue to suffer. The only thing, the last 2 days of his life, which was that Wednesday and the Tuesday before, the only thing we got him to eat was scrambled eggs. But it did cause him to bloat. It did cause his pancreas to become inflamed. So yeah, we did the hardest thing. He's 16 and a half. He lived with this tumor for almost 2 years, or actually probably 2 years, or a little bit more than 2 years, because we don't know exactly when it developed. I am surprised I'm not crying right now. I've like cried every day. Would it have been different? I asked myself if it would have been different had we not taken the Cytopoint injection, or would it have been different if I had Buddy on a real food diet from the beginning, or what? Maybe. I don't know. But I literally just yesterday went and had a bunch of pictures we had taken of him developed, and I made this album for him. They're somewhat in chronological order, but not entirely. So, yeah. These were the last two photos of him. This was the very last one. That's the state he was in just days before. This was probably a couple months ago. There is a picture from last year for this one. This was probably in May of last year. And a friend of mine bought me this book. And you see, so he would have been turning 15 here, and he was still very happy and looked very healthy. And it wasn't. Then this was him just days before we put him to sleep. I don't know, I miss him so much every day. I cry at least once a day, and this is just a hard video to make. But for those of you who have seen him or who have watched my updates, I feel like it was fair, or I don't know. I felt like I needed to make this video. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we're wrong to only treat Buddy holistically. I don't feel like it. I feel that it extended his life and kept him healthier longer. And because the conventional vet said that he had weeks to months. But it was 2 years. It would have been 2 years to end of next month since we got his initial pancreatic tumor diagnosis. So I feel like we did things right, and it was his time. I'm extremely sad. I know we did the right thing, but I'm extremely sad because I miss him terribly. This dog, I got Buddy when I was 28 years old. I'm 42 now. He was with me my whole entire 30s. That's just crazy. So yeah. Um, Merry Christmas and happy holidays.